Hey everybody, what's up? This is the third match of the WCOOP Heads Up event, and in this video I'm also going to show the first part of the fourth match. And I think this third match is a pretty interesting match because I get pretty aggressive early and spew off a reasonable amount of chips, and then I have to think, how am I going to take advantage of that sort of poor move later on and actually get it to work for me. And I'll explain what I mean later on in the video. So here we are. I'm min raising and he's folding, so he's appearing a little bit tight, and here you can see he folds his button to me, so I'm thinking that he would be a tight player. Raising here, get re-raised, it's a min re-raise, and I think I've got pretty good odds to call that, which I do. Don't catch any of the flop, and I'm happy to give this up. Alright, and here's the hand where I spew off a bunch of chips. He limps, and after the limp I'm assuming that an ace is out of his range, so I bet, and he raises me here, and I 3-bet him hoping to get him to fold. He doesn't. Possible hands here, if he's not on air, he could obviously have a 10 or another pocket pair. I take another stab at this, get called, and now I know that things are not looking good, and I've lost a pretty decent amount of chips there, and he was never folding his 10. So he played the 10 reasonably well, min raising with it, and I just spewed off a bunch of chips on no hand. But now, how do I recover from that? And the answer is, obviously, I'm not going to bluff again, because I've been caught bluffing once, and he'll be expecting me to bluff. And when I do catch a hand, I'm going to play it pretty aggressively and try and imitate a bluff sort of sequence. Alright, so I'm 3xing here, probably just a spite 3x after I've lost the pot, and he folds, thank goodness. And he's min raising, call because I've got pretty good odds. I've flopped second pair, that's good. He bets half pot, easy call. 8 on the turn, doesn't look like a terrible card for me. I mean, a bad card at this stage I would think would be a queen or an ace, and he bets 2,000, firing the second barrel. I should consider giving up here, but I do have second pair, and now on the river he shoves, so that's a pretty easy fold for me. I suspect he had something like king jack or king 8, or I guess that's his most likely sort of range there. Alright, queen 5, min raise again, get 3-bet, but he hasn't 3-bet me much. I call and catch bottom pair, and he makes a pretty undersized bet, 1,200 into the 3,200 pot. When I saw this I wasn't sure what it meant. I thought he might have flopped king, or flopped, sorry, 3 of a kind with his king, which is why I didn't attack it, I just flat called it. And the 5 on the turn means I'm probably going to go for a number if he has got it. His check here doesn't mean much. He would probably still check with the king. And now he checks on the river. I'm going to work on the assumption that he's got either an ace or he's got another pocket pair. And now I'm going to try and take advantage of my spewy image by making a big river bet, 4,000, get called. Had the ace, and a hard spot for him to fold, I would certainly agree with that. But we've recovered a lot of those chips that we spewed off. Alright, calling, missing, and this is a dry flop. I could very well 3-bet him here and possibly push him off it. But the problem is I've already got a spewy image, and I don't think I'm going to be believed. And therefore, I'm not going to bother trying that sort of aggressive move when my image is already ruined. So I'm very conscious of the fact that my image is ruined. And folding my 5-3 there. Once you start min raising, it's pretty hard to then revert to a limp. Alright, he 3x's me, and I've got that nice spewy image, so I expect him to call this, which he does. I flop a monster, and now how am I going to get any chips here? Bit tricky, so I just try a small bet, see what he does, kind of like a feeling bet, hoping I'm trying to look like I'm weak here and blocking him, the sort of classic wounded fish, but there is a chance that if he's not aggressive he won't fall for that, and he flats me. The 4 on the turn's got to be a good card. No draws have been completed. Not sure how strong he is, and I bet 6,000, which I think is a fair size bet, hoping to get a bad call from something like Ace 10, or possibly Ace Jack Ace Queen with his gut shot and what he thinks is a live overcard, that sort of thing, but he folds it up. Alright, min raise with a 5-9, take a pretty standard stab, 1200 into the 1600 pot, get raised, and I've got no hand, no draw, no call. And he's min raising, of course I'm going to call. I call this min raises because I think the implied odds are there. It's costing me one big blind, and we're so deep that, I could flop a monster hand, as I have here, and I think that he's kind of paying me to suck out of him if he's going to min raise. The fact that I'm min raising is also true. So in a sense, I have to be aware that I'm making the same error. Alright, he bets, and looking weak, 400 into the 1600 pot. Last time he did this, he didn't actually have anything, but I'm trying to sort of take advantage of my spewy image. This is a perfect time, and I raise him 3x. Makes a call. King on the turn might be a really good card for me. So I bet out, and now he calls this. I suspect that he probably hit that, or he's got, I guess other possibilities would be Ace Queen, Ace 10, especially suited. I'm now going to bet the river, and I'm not betting small, trying to make it look like a spewy sort of bluff, perhaps. Remember this earlier in the match when I 3-bet him on the paired board, so if he's got anything here, I think he's going to call me, and luckily he has the king, and that sort of, those chips that I spewed off earlier came back with interest. So if you do make a spewy move, try and repeat it when you've got the goods, and don't bluff again. Alright, min raising, nice flop. I bet, and he folds, so that's a pretty standard hand, not much to learn there. Now he's 3xing, it's almost as if he's learnt from the fact that the min raise didn't work, or perhaps he just has better cards. And I'm still min raising to get into pots. Here I hit top pair. My problem with this flop, obviously it's so wet, and that's why I check behind. I don't think I'm pushing him off a lot of hands. Anytime he's got a 5-6 heart overcards, he could well be calling. I want to keep the pot small. I don't mind losing a small pot in this spot. I'd just rather not lose a big one, and I can never be far ahead. Now I have a stab at it, and luckily I take it down. If he'd shown me any resistance and raised there on the turn, I probably would have just folded. Alright, limping, stabbing, getting called, and giving up. That's the theme for this, and he called me pretty widely there on Jack 6. So obviously he thinks that my stabs aren't much. Or perhaps I should say he doesn't think much of my stabs. Alright, trying to c-bet and picking up the pot, that's nice. I've got him down to 14,000, but that's basically pretty close to half a starting stack, and I'm not going to be taking any risks yet. Not going to bother stabbing this. He's never believed me in the past. Don't think he will now. If I did hit a paired board, then I would bet it. Min raising, getting 3-bet, and 5-9's a pretty easy fold. We're deep, but that doesn't mean I have to be a complete maniac. And here he limps, and when I min raise here, I'm pretty sure that was just a misclick. I meant to 3x. I didn't want to price him in. Luckily the flop is pretty favourable, and I take it down with a bet there. But that was definitely an error. Alright, King 9, offsuit, min raise. He stabs at this, and my feeling is when most people stab, I don't believe them, but I think in his case, he might actually have something, so I'll let that one go. And here he min raises, and I shove. I think I could get a call on something like ace, jack 10, 9, and if at worst I'm flipping. Remember, I've been up for a long time, so I'm probably a little bit less patient than normal. And he folds, and I min raise, and he flats it, try and represent, and he just won't fold these paired boards. Why do I bother? And he's called me on the king, so no point bluffing these paired boards against this guy. Alright, here we come to a nice hand. I've flopped a set, and I've got a spewy image. So, if he's got anything here, this could be good. I decide to check it for deceptive purposes, hoping he'll bet and I can check raise him, taking a little bit of a risk that he'll check behind, but luckily he's actually hit something. He bets pot, and now of course I 3-bet him. Look at the bet sizing here. I'm not going too heavy. No, not betting like 2400, 26, 2800. Just enough to give him plenty of room to call. I want him to call, of course. And the turn's the 5. I bet pretty aggressively here, make him pay if he's got a flush draw. He snap calls, and the river. That's a pretty nice card. Gives me obviously the quads, so I had the nuts, but more importantly, it's not really the sort of card he's going to think that I've got. And with the 2 hearts there, I could well be on a flush draw. I bet 8,000 there, trying to get a call, and he thinks about it and does call, and actually turns up with 7-5. I kind of put that down to a bad beat. I'm shocked I didn't get his chips on the turn. I mean, 2 pair there. He probably should have, raised me on the turn. But anyway, I got quite a substantial amount of them, and you've seen how that spewy image has paid off. I'm not recommending that you develop a spewy image. I'm simply saying if you do, then you need to stop bluffing, and when you do have it, kind of act like you are bluffing. And here I pretty much put him in with my king 9 suited. He's got, about 8 big blinds, including the one out in front. That's pretty standard. I'll be taking some risks to try and finish this guy off. I fold my hand there. I don't want him to shove on me and give him that extra bit of the blind. He's limping. I don't expect this has hit his limping range. So I attack, and he calls. That didn't work out too well. Now I'm just going to check it down, and he's actually betting on the river. I've got nothing I can call him on. And I thought that was a good stab, just didn't work. Limping my 6-7, if he raises I'll fold, and I've hit the nuts, nice. So 400 into the flop, get called. Now if he's got any sort of draw I want him to pay, like for example a 2, a 6, a 7, an ace or whatever, so I bet half pot, trying to extract more value, but unfortunately he folds. And he's still limping even though he's low and desperate, and I'm still stabbing even though it hasn't worked that much, but it does there. And he's down to 6 big blinds. Normally I wouldn't limp this, but if he's going to be passive and let me, I will. And when he checks, obviously I'm going to stab, and he raises me, so I'm out of this hand. As I say, he's being a little bit passive, I think, considering his stack size. He really should be getting more aggressive. Alright, bottom pair, get flattered. Now we've picked up a draw on the turn, so I'm going to bet this again to try and block him about 400, and unfortunately he won't be blocked, he just shoves, so I've got to give that up. And min raise, he's a little bit deeper, up to about 11 big blinds. Obviously if he shoves I'm going to feel like a goose, but he folds, so that was very nice. And he folds that. I would have shoved or called his shove, either way. And min raise again, see if that trick works again, and surprise, surprise, it does. He's got quite passive when he's low stacked, when in fact he should be getting aggressive. And this is an easy raise. That's pretty much committing his whole stack if he calls. He doesn't, and he raises. He's only got about 9 big blinds. I think I'm calling this on king 8 suited. Remember, in this deep stacked game, 9 big blinds is really the same as about 4.5 big blinds in a regular sort of heads up sit and go that we would play. So I think that's an easy call. If he doubles up, he's only got 7,000. I get it in quite a big dog, but spike a king on the turn, and that's the end of the match. Here in match 4 I'm playing Krieger. He's a very competent opponent. He has an average buy-in of $1,500. I think my average buy-in is about $54. I'm not kidding. So he's played a lot higher than me, and he's a winning player at those stakes. He's even played as high as the $5,000 level. I think he's played 6 matches there and won them all. So this is an opponent who probably outclasses me, and I really need to play out of my skin to have any chance here. So first hand he folds, and second hand I'm min-raising, just try and get a feel. Flop comes down ace 9-9, and seeing I've raised pre-flop, I can make a bet here and try and represent something, probably the ace. And he calls that, so I'm probably done with the hand. And I check behind on the river. I catch a 2, and he bets 1200 here. The only thing I can really beat is a busted flush draw, but for that price, I think I'm going to call this, which I do, and he does have the busted flush draw. I just think he should have bet a little bit more on the river there, really. And he 3x's the next hand. Even though we're really deep, I'm going to be a little bit tight about calling that. Now I pick up 6-3. Not going to fold that. Sorry, not going to play that, I mean. And on this next one, I want to see what he's going to do. So he min raises. I'm going to 3-bet him here just to see what he's doing. King 10 of hearts is a pretty decent holding. Obviously not that strong. If he 4-bets me, I'll be folding. So I 3-bet him to 2000, and he folds. So that's interesting. Here I limp my ace 10. I don't mind if he raises me. I've got a good hand, and he doesn't. Low flop, which doesn't really suit my hand. Check behind, pick up a 10 on the turn, which I bet for full pot, and he 3-bets me. This is interesting. Does he have 2 pair? Has he picked up some sort of straight? I'm definitely not folding here. And 4 on the river can't help me. I think he checks, and yeah, I'll check behind, and he actually had top pair, but I had him out kicked. I guess he's not expecting me to have a kicker as good as an ace there. Alright, he 3x's, that's an easy fold with Jack 8 offsuit. And I 3x back, just trying to pick up a pot. He calls 9-9-4, hard flop for me to represent anything. I take a stab, and he calls me. Now I check behind on the turn, and the Queen River. Okay, so I've learned a little bit of information here, namely that he's calling my c-bets pretty wide. If he's going to call on King Queen here, then that's, as I say, calling pretty wide. So I'll have to take that into account. It looks like he might be, I guess not floating me because he didn't bet the turn, but yeah, certainly not folding easily post-flop. Alright, and I fold my 8-3, and I get rewarded with 3-4. Alright, he 3x's, that's a pretty easy fold for me. And I just limp. One of the advantages of limping that ace 10 before is that I expect now he won't attack my limps. And have a stab and pick up the pot. More 3x action from him. Not going anywhere with 5-2. I will be 3-betting him randomly, but not with that hand, I don't think, at this stage. And I try 3x, and he 3-bets me. Lovely. So there goes most of my lead. He min raises, and that's an easy call, but it's not really a fantastic flop, and I'm not going anywhere here. Once he bets 800 here, doesn't look particularly strong, but with Jack high, no hand, no draw, no call. Alright, limping, and I've hit middle pair, which is good. He bets, I raise him, I really just want to control him, and that does not work as he 3-bets me. And I call, and now he follows up with a pretty big bet on the turn, so I'm going to have to give it up. Not sure if he outplayed me there, but I think that 3-bet is a little bit suspicious. And he's raising 3x again, and here we get to a pretty interesting hand, in my opinion. I raised 3x and ace-2. We're deep, of course, so that's not as bad as it looks. I've hit bottom pair. I bet, and he immediately 3-bets me. This is the same sequence he played the hand before, or a couple of hands ago, and I'm a little bit suspicious. I call. Now I've picked up a flush draw on the turn, so I'm not folding, and now I've got bottom pair, 20,000 chips in the pot, third of a starting stack. Things are not looking good. He bets a pretty hefty 7,000, and I need to think about this. He's been sort of 3-betting me and following up with that turn bet quite a bit. Do I really think he's strong? I mean, obviously I did the first time when I folded. In fact, I think he 4-bet me, but this time I'm a little bit suspicious. I'm going to put him under some pressure. I'm going to re-raise him here to 20,000. And I think he's going to find this hard to call if he's got a 5. And I think he'll call pretty quickly with a jack, of course, but if he's got a 5 or a 2, it'll be hard for him to call, or any pair pretty much in between them. Not really sure what I'm representing, but I just had the feeling at the time that he was taking advantage of me, and he folds. That was a huge pot, and I was feeling pretty happy after I won that one. Here he 3x's, and I'm just going to flat call him, and not a very nice flop, and I'll give up. Alright, so limping with my 8-9, hitting top pair, just flat call him, and now that he checks on the turn, I'm going to bet. This is really important, that you can't fail to bet in these spots, because if you do, all you're doing is giving them a chance to outdraw you. So don't be too timid and check behind just because he's fired out a little stab. I mean, if he's sitting there with whatever, any 2 random cards, why give him a chance to hit an overcard? So I bet half the pot and he folds. Protect your pairs when they're not that high. Alright, fold my 7-9, and I limp, hit middle pair, bet, and take it down. Alright, things are going okay so far. I've got a nice chip lead. He's 3xing me still. Easy fold there with 4-3, and limping with my 10-3, hitting a nice flop, and I stab a little bit more, trying to make it look bluffy. Doesn't work, and that kind of sucked. I mean, I was hoping that would look like a bluff, and he would try and make a move on me, but not that good. Didn't work out. Alright, still limping. He 3x's my limp, and I'll let that go pretty easily. Alright, he's 3xing again, and it's time for me to 3-bet him, and I get the fold. I'm not doing that too often, but just now and again, to keep him honest, I like to 3-bet him. Alright, he bets 400. I don't believe him. He stabbed last time on the 8-high board. Now that he checks, I just repeat the procedure and take the pot off him. So I floated him there pretty much on nothing and took the pot, because he did the same thing back on the 8-high board. Alright, he's 3xing. I'll call my suited connectors, hit a nice flush draw, and check behind to try and get a free card, or check out of position, try and get a free card. Here he bets, and I make a pretty loose call. I just think if I could catch a magic card like the King of Diamonds, and he's got an ace, or the Ace of Diamonds, he's got a king, I could take a huge pot off him. And the river is the 6, which doesn't help me very much, and he bets full pot. And that is all yours, sir. Alright, limping still, not a very good flop for me, very connected. Not going to do me any good to call this, so I'll just give that up. And he's 3xing, which I fold, and I try a 3x and get to pick up a blind. Let him limp here, hit top pair, check it for deceptive purposes. He bets, which I just flat. Check again in case there's any more chippies coming. Unfortunately there isn't. And on the river I guess I better bet. Trying to get a curiosity call out of a king or possibly a 10, and he folds. Ace queen, I limp, hit top pair, and just take down a simple pot. Don't think there's much value checking there. I mean, you know, it's not like he's sort of out of position, sorry, in position, and if I check he might stab. I mean, he's already checked to me. Alright, so I fold that, and I'm going to go a few more hands before I stop this one, and then I'll do the second half of the video as a separate video so it doesn't get too long for you. Alright, 3xing with 7-6, trying to pick up some cheap blinds. He calls me. Not an easy flop to represent, so I check behind. And now he bets 2,000, that's all his. Not sure if he had anything or not. And the blinds have gone up. He's 3xing me still when I'm folding. And I try limping. Horrible flop. He stabs. And I've just got no connection. I don't think I'll push him off if he's got any draws, so I'll give that up. Alright, he's raising me again. He's doing this quite a lot, so I go for another 3-bet. Obviously I don't have much of a hand, but I'm just looking at his frequencies. He's raising so often pre-flop that I need to be 3-betting him pretty frequently, and he folds my 3-bets as he does here, so that works pretty well. Limping, missing, stabbing, getting 3-bet, and shutting up shop. And 3x's, which I fold, and I limp here. He attacks my limp, and now we get to, I'll make this the last hand, and it's not really a very happy hand. He 3x's and I call him. I've hit top pair, which is lovely. Just check to let him bet out. He bets 1440. That's a pretty standard c-bet, I call it. And I've now picked up the nut flush draw as well as a top pair. He bets 3360. I just don't see how I could ever fold this. I'd love a spade obviously to give me the nuts. And an ace on the river. I check behind to control the pot size. And now he bets 10,000, and I just hate this card. I mean, I'm probably paying him off here. I really can't see him firing the third barrel. If he's got a better ace, then I just feel like a calling station goose. If he's flopped a full house, you know, like 6-6 or 8-8, something like that, then once again I'm just a calling station. But I just can't fold the 3 of a kind here. I call, and he turns over the second nut flush. I wish we had have hit a spade, but never mind. That might look poorly played, I'm not sure, but honestly I just couldn't fold it, and the only good thing I probably did was try and keep the pot as small as possible by simply check calling. So I'll end this video now, and I'll do the second half of the match in the next one. So until then, I hope you run good.